Today is March 13th. We're around halfway through spring training. Let's talk position battles, and let's have some fun this week and make about half of our season predictions. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I am joined, as always, by my brother, Jake. What's up, Jake?
I didn't realize just how much of a leprechaun I looked like in green and gold until just now.
Hey, we're wearing our green. St. Patrick's Day is this week, this Friday. My mic feels like it's lower than normally, and I'm like bending over to get to it. So there's that. So we're wearing our green because we're redheads and, you know, obviously have some Irish in us. So enjoy St. Patrick's Day, everyone, coming up this Friday. Other than that, you know, and the Pirates will have their green on too, right? Don't they usually wear at least like the green hats?
Yeah, I think so. I think they wear the green hats.
The green hats, maybe something else. I don't really know. I feel like that's kind of a miss, man. I wish that was a fun... You know, they do the pink on Mother's Day, the blue on Father's Day. The green would be a slick look.
It would. If
we could have that in season.
It's in March, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it was in season. But, all right, so we have a jam-packed show today.
It's going to be awful.
You think it's going to be bad? I mean...
No. This is what we do. We like to do these kind of episodes, and
we do. So we're going to do. So if you've been following the podcast for the last couple of years now, right? It's been 2 years. No, last year, whatever. Last year was our first year, but we made it a point to do like all of our predictions. So technically we haven't done 2 years of predictions, right?
Right.
It's just not how this thing works.
But we've done.
This is our second year.
Yeah.
So,
but we did a bunch of predictions for like postseason and that too.
Yeah, that's right. So we just like to do this stuff. It's fun. It's a good conversation starter. We want to hear feedback from you guys on where you guys are with everything. And so that's why I think that's one of the reasons why we have a good time with this stuff. But we're going to do some projection stuff for the season. I think that this stuff kind of, I don't know. For me, it's just a good time. We like to go back and see how wrong we were, which proves a point at the same time of like baseball's a sport where you just can't get it right. They have to play the games. It's way too difficult. It's way too unpredictable. There's just no way. And you'll see, like, we put all the projections in here too. Those projections are always wrong as well.
Yeah.
You can get close. That's about it. And all the things have to align. And you kind of say like, well, if I think this guy's going to hit 250, but you think he can hit 270, but you also think there's a chance he hits 230. So you land at 250 to try to find a way there. You know what I mean? Even though you think it's going to be either 230 or 270, you know? Anyway, we're also going to take a look at some position battles. And, you know, to me, spring training has been what it's been. And we're going to get into that sort of thing. I think today is that day where it's like a switch, right? And it's time to turn it on. We're physically there. Now we're nailing down to the last little bit, and it's time to start showing up if you're going for one of these position battles. And there's a couple there. There's roster spots there that are up for grabs. And so far, I've felt like, yeah, we're just kind of getting right. You're running out of time. But like, that's okay. Yeah. But that's okay, right? I really thought that second base was a position that if I was going for that, I would have came in guns a-blazing.
Oh, yeah.
But I've felt like they've just been trying to get right. Now is the time where there's no more of that.
Right. You got to step up.
You got to
do it.
Put up or shut up here. A couple things to cover here. the whole Key Brian Hayes thing this week, I think we're done with it already. We wrote our notes saying he's dealing with left thumb soreness, hit in the cage today, but he's not playing very much and all that stuff. And then it was like a couple days after that, he got in the lineup, he hit a home run, he hit another one real hard. And it was kind of like, yeah, we're not worried about this. Dude, I'm going to say it, especially, like I said, up until this point, and even after this point for a guy like Key Brian. If you have a hangnail, you need to sit a couple games out. This is spring training.
Yeah.
None of it, especially now, it doesn't matter. Put in your work and back behind the scenes. Don't overdo. I'm in the camp that says, like, you got a headache? We'll put somebody else in today. Like, there's just no reason to do it. You know what I mean? There's just no reason. You play through injuries in the regular season. You don't play through a hangnail or a blister in spring training. You just don't do it. In my opinion, I wouldn't.
No, I agree.
Like, I wouldn't have any of my players playing through it, whether he wanted to play or not. You have a blister, get it right. You're not going to go out there and play with a blister and then compensate and do something stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or not even something stupid, but have an accident. Let's say that. So, Harleen Garcia, we've got the news there. Looks like he's looking at like 4 to 6 weeks. He can't even grip a baseball. That's going to bring a whole slew of questions to this whole thing, which changes some of our answers today. It doesn't look like he's going to be there on opening day.
Yeah, and like the scans and stuff are clear, which is just odd. It's just a weird good thing situation. That's the word.
Right. Luis Ortiz headed to the WBC, added to the Dominican roster. It was kind of stated that like he's not actually taking Garcia's spot. There was more than one spot available. So he was just added to the roster. Like it wasn't a 1-for-1 type thing. I don't know why that matters that was stated, but if you hadn't heard that, probably important to hear that. I think that's all we have. So the Key Brian thing for me, man, I know that we've talked a lot about him because of the injury stuff, but until there's more than what we saw right now, like this is I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
But that's obviously like it's rightfully so if you are concerned about it. Like you have a reason to be. He's not given us a reason to not be concerned. I'm not going to get into it. We have a jam-packed show. Do you have it? Like, do you have a statement on it or not? Or are you just right there?
Nah, he's good.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on here. What do we got? So Harleen Garcia, we've got that thing. We have some guys assigned to minor league camp. Earlier this week, it was Lolo Sanchez, Matt Gorski, Henry Davis, Malcolm Nunez, Leover Peguero, which was interesting, Kyle Nicholas, and Jared Jones. I'm not sure why, like, Leover Peguero was quote-unquote assigned to minor league camp. He has to be optioned, which happened on Saturday. So I don't really understand that situation, but whatever. Pirates acquired Mark Mathias, who's an infielder with the minor league option left from Texas for a player to be named later. And then Max Kranick added to the 60-day 60-day IL on that day to make that spot. And then Ricky DeVito, minor league pitcher, Ricky DeVito was sent on Saturday as the player to be named later. So they've already named it. Trade's already done. Matthias, I don't think is here yet. Matthias, whatever it is, if I got it wrong. I don't have it pulled up right now, but either way, Peguero's optioned. So we're starting to see a little bit of, movement. Also, just because they're assigned to minor league camp doesn't mean we won't see them get a couple ABs. You know what I mean? There's guys that are not invited to spring training who have gotten at bats.
I mean,
so
we just had Malcolm Nunez get a couple of bats literally the same day. He was
and he was before the game.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So either way, you're going to see it. It's not a thing. Like they can interchange all that stuff.
You could see it.
What's that?
Not necessarily will. You could.
Sure. Yeah. I think that when it comes to like traveling and stuff, those away games that like Kutch and Reynolds and those guys aren't going to, you know what I mean? You'll see a bunch of young guys.
Well, we have a split squad coming up, so.
Right. So you're going to see some of those guys there too. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, really because of our time, we just hit the 10-minute mark here or close to. And so I kind of feel like we probably need to get into a lot of this stuff. Is there anything from this week that you saw? Chavez Young, you mentioned him before. He's playing for Great Britain, the best uniforms in the WBC. Bat flips a homer in the ninth on Monday night's game and hasn't gotten a hit since, I think. But I just thought that was interesting because we had actually talked about him, and I was like, dang it, did we waste our breath? I'm just kidding. Anyway, there's a lot of things to look at. Keller still looks good. There's Nick Gonzalez continues to hit well against the competition that he's against, right? We might get into that. Vince Velasquez is surprising everyone right now, but again, I don't know, what you're looking at there. Do we have that number?
Yeah, I mentioned it to you before we started. I actually haven't got to see him pitch yet.
Well, the one was radio only, am I right?
Right. Yeah.
So it was kind of hard to tell there. And it's only been it's been 3 outings for him. Oh, that's right-handed relievers. So 2 outings, 5 innings. And yeah, I mean, like, it's been fine, you know what I mean? But it is just 2 outings and it is just 5 innings. And so you're gonna hear us talk about op qual or OQ or opponent quality, which is the full name. You might hear us bring that up a couple times. Basically what that is it's just a quality of opposing pitchers or batters that they're facing. And the way they do that is basically 1 through 10. 10 is played every bit of their baseball last year in Major League Baseball, full-time major leaguer. When you get to 8, you're talking about like a full-time AAA. Most guys kind of fall into that like upper 7 range. So it's like in between AA and AAA. And that's just what they were last year, not what they're going to be this year. Right. You know what I mean? So like you can kind of figure that out. But like Vince Velasquez's number is like a 7.8. That's about normal. Mitch Keller and JT Brubaker are 7.7. You know what I mean? But like Johan Oviedo, 8.3. He's faced a little bit better. Roanzi, which is only his 3 innings, same sort of thing. Luis Ortiz, 9.2. He's only faced major leaguers basically. You know what I mean? So in his 3 innings again. But so you'll hear us use that number a little bit. When you're in the 7s, it's pretty average. Like you're saying, okay, this is a guy, he's doing his thing. You know what I mean? Like this is because you're going to face, I wonder what some of those are when you look into the season. They don't keep that stat in the season, but I would wonder, you know what I mean? How that translates. But, you're going to hear us bring that up. So Nick Gonzalez is the reason I bring that up. Vince Velasquez is the reason I bring that up. Vince Velasquez, actually, it's a legit number, but Nick Gonzalez, he hasn't faced the same type of pitching that some of these other guys have. So you should see him show up. And he is. So he's doing everything you want him to do.
Right.
It's not that it's like, oh, yeah, but he's off of guys. No, not off guys that are going to be bagging groceries next week. It's not that bad. Right? That's like getting under 5.
Right. Yeah.
It is literally like if you're facing guys if you're in the 6 range of that, you should be doing damage. He's doing damage. So he's doing everything you want him to do, but it's not like he's hitting 375 against major league pitching. Right. That'd be like, he better make the roster opening day if he's doing that. So anyway, I don't know, man, just kind of going through this week. Like I said, the games aren't a big deal. There's just not a lot to say. Key Bryant's home run was kind of the big news there. And, I kind of looked at some of these, like, Reynolds, you write down on Thursday, oh, he's 0 for 3. His exit velocities were 95, 92, and 101. I'm not really going to complain much about that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it just kept going with that too. Like 1 for 3 and a homer, but 100, 101, 95 for exit velocities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saturday, Kutch hitting 99.6 and 101.5. So like you're starting to see him start to hit the ball hard. Hayes, 92 ground out, 106 homer, 108 on his double play. Like he's, striking it. So things like that. And And then today's game, was what it was. I actually didn't write it down, but it's fine. So let's go ahead and get into all this stuff here. That was my 5-minute rant on all the games. We're good, right?
We're good.
We're moving on.
We're moving on.
Spring training is what spring training is, right?
You know what? And I'm going to throw this in there. Give me 1 minute, okay?
Let's do it.
Let me just say that spring training was getting so stale for me watching our guys that are supposed to be playing good, play well, put in our guys that may not be good. I was getting blasted. It was starting to just get old. The WBC has been fantastic. That game with Colombia or Venezuela and the Dominica was amazing.
The Dominica.
Fun. Republic of Dominica. You know what I mean? So good. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
WBC, I'm a fan.
There you go. I have made an effort to watch the WBC this year a little bit. And I made the comment before that I don't remember watching it, right? That doesn't mean I haven't. It literally, like my statement there was that I don't remember. I remember the Adam Jones catch when he robbed Manny Machado. That's the extent of it, really. And it's just because for me, it hasn't been memorable. This whole my country thing doesn't do it for me. I don't care. I'd rather represent the Pirates. That's just the way I am, right?
It's fine.
And so I've been watching a little bit. We're not going to get into how I feel about the pitch clock after watching the WBC. Because I'm still right in the middle. But there was definitely some times where I was like, come on, man. Mm-hmm. But anyway. So I already said a little bit in the intro there. When does spring training start to become a cop-out for poor performance? And my statement that I made was that was kind of today, right? I kind of felt like there was a little bit today where I did feel that there was a little bit of, and maybe it was part of what you're saying, where you just saw some competitive baseball. I watched the USA game. I watched the Dominican Venezuela game. And there was a little bit of come on, man. While I was watching the game, can't do that. I really wanted you to hit the ball there. Or, obviously, pitch the ball better. So there was a little bit of that today. Is that just me? Or am I starting to get to the point where I'm getting frustrated and I want to see some guys perform better? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's part of where I'm at right now is I got to see more from what we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to pull up, because today was 11-3, right? And I'm trying to pull this up so that I have it to refer to it as we go through this. And you just want to see, I'm starting to see Brian Reynolds come around. I'm starting to see him hit the ball hard. He's got home runs in back-to-back days. He switched to a little bit of a heavier bat. We're starting to see people make, not just I feel good, but starting to make adjustments like that. Starting to say, how do I feel moving forward? I thought that the O'Neal Cruz's approach right now looks much better. We saw Sawinski choke up a little bit with 2 strikes and still end up hitting the ball out. His approach looks really good right now. Well, we can talk about that because we both are a little bit different there. And so, we're moving right into this, right? I really think that this is the time that we need to start seeing people step up. We've got 9 straight games in 8 days coming up. A day off, and then the last 6 games of spring. So we get tomorrow. Technically, there's a day off tomorrow, right? I think there's a day off tomorrow. I got it at the bottom here because I'm going to say this at the end. So yeah, Monday off, split squad Tuesday. So then that's why we get 9 games in 8 days. And then we get another day off and then hit it with 6 straight games, or the last 6 of spring. I don't know if there's a day off in there or not, but you should get an idea here in these next 9 games, because then those last 6 games are going to be that final push. You know what I'm saying? If it is down, we're going to get into second base first. Spoiler alert. Let's use Castro and Bay, since those are the 2 front runners for second base. let's say that they both light fire in these 9 games. There's a pretty good chance that those two are going to both be in the lineup in those last 6 games, while some of our other guys are going to be playing half a game and coming out to make sure, hey, we're good now. Let's just make sure we don't get hurt. Let's stay fresh. And then we're coming out. So we might see some more like complete games by some of like Kutch or Cruz or Reynolds, but not every game, right? Just make sure that we're doing things right so that we can be well rested for when the season starts. Because like we've talked about, April's a gauntlet of games. You know what I mean? A lot of games, not a lot of days off. So let's go ahead and move into the second base position, because this is the one right now that is that kind of has me fired up, because this is a starting position.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a part-time position. This is not a backup catcher. This is a starting role. You're going to be the guy. And I really believe that second base is going to be the guy, because I'm in the camp that thinks that there's a very good possibility there's 3 people going for this job. And I think one guy makes it and the other 2 get sent down. Possibly. It depends on who we think's going to make it. So, Castro, we talked about this opponent quality, right? He's at a 7.8. These guys are all real close. Marcano's a little bit lower at a 7.0. Bay's at a 7.9. So we're looking at an even matchup right here when it comes to like Bay and Castro.
Mm-hmm.
They're facing the same guys, essentially. And Castro's hitting 231, has not walked, so his on base is 231. Slugging 385. He does have a homer, but that's his only extra base hit. And it was the grand slam, possibly a little bit of aided by wind. It didn't go over by much. He struck it good, but it was very early. 10 strikeouts in that time. You know what I'm saying? So not necessarily great. He's over He's over that 30%. For Ji-hwan Bae, he's at 158. 200 on base, 158 slugging, because he has 3 singles all spring. And has 7 strikeouts to go with it, and less at bats than Castro. Like his strikeout rate is over 40%, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So he's striking out, even though the number's less, he's striking out more than Castro is. And Castro really only got to 10 because of today, because of the 2 strikeouts today. He really has been, much lower than some of these other guys that we're going to talk about today. And then Marcano, just to put this out there, because I don't think it should be lost, but 235, but a 350 on base. And he has 1 double and the other 3 hits are singles. But he has 3 walks to throw into it, where Bay only has 1 and Castro hasn't been walked. And he only has 3 strikeouts. Like he only strikes out 15% of the time. And we know that that's Marcano's thing. His hits are not hard hits. He's slapping the ball the other way. He's moving it around. That's his game a little bit. So just to run the list here, Chris Owings is a possible, this is a wild chance for Owings, Maggi, and Gonzalez. Gonzalez performing the best of those 3, in my opinion. When you look at the little fire icon on Baseball Savant by Nick Gonzalez, it's like there every game pretty much. He's hitting the ball 97 and better almost every time he gets at the bat, it feels like. And his opponent quality is 6.9. Drew Maggi's is 6.8, and he's hitting 500, right? He's got 2 home runs. He's got 2 doubles. He's hitting the ball hard too. Not at the rate that Nick Gonzalez is, as far as just when you look at just exit velocity, but the results are there, right? And Drew Maggi is, since day one, is playing with that urgency, with that drive. He's playing hard.
Yeah.
And he's doing what you would want him to do against guys who have spent most of their time in double and AAA. So Nick Gonzalez has no shot. He's looked good. He hasn't looked... If he was hitting the ball as hard as he was hitting the ball and he had the same results as Drew Maggi, I think you'd be talking maybe you add this guy to the roster. But you don't. You still see the swing and miss from Nick Gonzalez like you thought you would. He's still performing great. but he's performing as you expected. Unless you think he's a bust, he's performing as you expected to see him perform
Right.
against the guys he's performing against. I'm not saying he's ready for the major leagues yet. I'm saying he's close. But I think that everything's natural, right? He's getting sent down.
Yeah.
Drew Maggi is a whole different story. He's 33 years old. The major leaguer who's yet to perform or produce or show up in a major league game, right? So where you at on this? Let's talk about these three guys. Who do you want to bring up? What do you have? What are you seeing?
So yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna end up filtering down to between Castro and Marcano. I think Bay. I think he's kind of dug himself a hole that's probably a little too big to climb out of for spring. I think you need to send him down. He needs to refine some stuff. He needs to at least get back to hitting well. At least to get comfortable again. Because I mean, if he's even close to what he's
what
doing,
if he shows up in the next 9 games?
yeah,
Do you erase what just happened? If you think he was just physically trying to get there, if he makes a change and he shows up in these next 9 games, I mean, to me, I think that because that switch is flipped, if anybody's believing the same thing I am, if he shows up in these next 9, and he's right back in it. If you were to say, what's your weight? What's your weight? If all things are equal, who gets the jobs? If these guys end up equal,
then I don't want to be sitting in the manager meeting.
no, but I think there is a path. I think if all things are equal, I think Castro gets the job, and I think Bay gets sent down. I really believe that. And the only reason I believe that is because I think that Ji-hwan Bae is the only of the 3 who they will not put in a bench role at the major league level. I don't think they do that. I think if Marcano's behind, I think they feel okay letting him play 25% of the time any given week. You know what I'm saying? I think if Bae shows up and he's getting on base and Castro continues to play the way that he's playing, I think Castro very easily could be a bench role on this team, which I think is maybe his future role is a second, third baseman on this team. Now, I do believe that Castro has a starting role in front of him as well. But if you remember I think that Josh Harrison does too, but you remember Josh Harrison played that role.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the days off and I'll go out there and I'll hit you 12 home runs. You know what I mean? But it's not going to be, you know what I mean? If you got guys who are there every day at their position, I'll play all 3 of the others. And yes, I mean shortstop. Because if he's just filling in, he's going to be fine there for today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, there's that whole thing where Marcano is the same thing. And I think that he also sprinkles in the outfield. And while Bae can do all that stuff, I just think that his potential is to be more often, to play more often. His potential gets him a little more. So, yeah, if he shows up, I think he could still be there. He's just looked lost.
Yeah. He hasn't not looked great at the plate.
He's a contact guy, a lot like Marcano, and he's not making contact.
Right. Yeah. So I think Castro ends up taking the position.
Okay.
And I think Marcano probably makes the roster as a bench role.
Yeah, I mean, if things keep playing out this way, and I think that Castro, though, man, I need to see more from him. But go ahead.
They're talking a lot like he's locked in. He's got this. Okay, now I want to see it. I want to see results from it. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing. At second base, I think defensively they've all been fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I'm worried about defensively. I know, Castro's been the most suspect in the past. I think he's looked fine. He's going to handle the position.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's going to kill you. You know what I mean? This isn't Josh Van Meter at first base or Cole Tucker in right field, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? This is
Right.
like he's going to be fine. Other than that, I mean, Bay and Marcano a little more. They're going to have a little more range. So as far as defensively, with those two guys, you might see a little extra on the defensive side than what you get from Castro. But I mean, the complete opposite on the other side of the ball. Castro has the ability to hit the ball over the fence more often than the other two, and it's not even close.
Right. Yeah.
I think Bay has some pop in his bat. Marcano has zero. And so you have kind of some of that. You know what I mean? It is between those three. I don't think Maggi could make this team. It's going to be crazy. I think if these three continue to play this way, I think one of them still ekes out as the starter. But Maggi could make it on this team as the backup infielder because they know as soon as one of the other two get going, you could also just can Maggi and make it happen. But to give Maggi that chance, it's a possibility. But this is the biggest one for me that people have to start stepping it up.
Yeah.
I've really been kind of upset with the way that these three guys have performed while they're trying to win a job.
Yep.
They really have been. And I know that we've had some conversations and that you've kind of told me like it's frustrating to hear you talk about Ji-Hwan Bae. And I think it's just because like as far as his ceiling, like between him and Marcano, like Marcano has the lowest ceiling of these three.
Yeah.
And Castro's ceiling is like, I think he could be there this year. I think he's got power potential. He does not have average potential. And he's going to be a fielder that gets the job done. Nothing more than that. Where Bae has the ability to get on base, play good defense at second base, and he's really fast. He gives you another element that if you're right about the stolen bases, he's one of those guys.
Absolutely.
So him coming out here, and he's on the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? He really is. And so for him coming in here and showing up the way he has, man, it's been really frustrating.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's keep moving here because I know that we have so much to do and we're already struggling here.
Yeah.
Outfield, we know it's Reynolds. We know what Kutch's role is. We know it's a part-time kind of a thing. And we assume Sawinski has a job out there. Let's tap on Sawinski real quick before we go to the rest, because I'm saying, yeah, he's there. The choke up today was a little bit of an adjustment with 2 strikes. Still hit the ball out of the yard, but he's at 278, 391 on base, and 556 slugging. When you're sitting there, yes, his strikeouts are high right now, but they've been going down. We're already seeing that adjustment, but it's clear he's walked 4 times. The on base is at 391. To me, and somebody even mentioned this to me on Twitter today that they think that he's making an honest effort to see more pitches in this spring, and so he's possibly just getting behind more often. That could be it. You've been critical of his strikeouts, rightfully so.
Yeah, just, especially for me, especially with the shift going away, put the ball in play. There's more holes on the infield for you to sneak the ball through. Put the ball in play.
Yeah.
Make them make a play. Make them be athletic now that they're not going to be right there where you're going to hit the ball every time, and see what happens. And like you've touched on, that his strikeouts have been coming down. I think he's there. I think he's going to be there day one, starting in center field.
Yeah. You think center field?
That's
actually an interesting thing because I know that they're talking about this and they're doing all this stuff, but like it is kind of interesting because I could still see this as they go through. I could still see them showing up opening day and it still being like Reynolds in center. And I mean, he's played center.
Had one game. They had one game where it was Sawinski in left and Reynolds in center.
I think it might be just the effort to say, let's put Sawinski in center field as much as we possibly can. And then I could see them saying, all right, now that we're here, we know what we have. We know it's an option. That way, anytime that Reynolds is not in center, it will be Sawinski in center. And I could see them making the effort to give him as many innings as possible in center. However, there have been some things said about Reynolds, like them intentionally moving Reynolds to left. And so I could see that too. I've been saying for a long time he profiles best as a left fielder, so I have no problem with the move. I think that he could be a plus left fielder. And at center field, I think he's league average. I think he does some things really well. He does other things not well. And to be honest with you, I'd like to see Swinsky play right field all the time. But until you have the players that you have,
Yeah.
We're not putting Cal Mitchell in left field at PNC Park.
Right.
That can never happen. Unless it's like 3 innings because somebody's hurt or somebody had to come out of the game. Anyway, so let's talk about them because we've got Travis Swaggerty, we've got Cal Mitchell, we've got Kane Smith and Jigba, we've got Connor Joe, we've got, my goodness, we're still talking about Ryan Valade. He's at 125. Let's not bring him up again.
Sounds good to me.
So Connor Joe, I think no matter what way, if he makes the team, he's going to be a part-time bench player. He's not getting one of these starting positions. Do you agree?
Agree.
Okay. Kutch will play some in left. He's going to share time with one of these 3 guys. This is much like the second base, except in right field, we think.
Yep.
Or whatever, right? Because I'm telling you right now, if it ends up being Travis Swaggerty and he's in right field, I'm going to be ticked. Just put Sawinski in right field when Swaggerty's playing and put Swaggerty in center.
Absolutely.
Just let's
100%.
cut that out. Now, if it's one of the other 2, let's let them play right field. Swaggerty, his opponent quality is a little bit lower, but he's showing up. He's hitting 294, 333. He's been really hitting the ball hard. His approach has been good. I've liked it. 2 home runs. That could be part of that facing lesser, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's walked the once. That's not 2 walks if you're looking at the notes that I'm looking at because I did write walks twice. It is still just 1 walk. And only 4 strikeouts. So he's hitting the ball. He's putting in play. He's done a really good job. Cal Mitchell has faced more. He's got the most at-bats of anybody on the team right now. And he's hitting 261, 292 on base. He's got 1 double, 7 strikeouts. It's been fine. He's not really necessarily hitting the ball that hard, but he's been fine, I'll say. He has the most experience of the 3 as well, as far as at the major league level. And defensively, there was a play even yesterday that I was like, or maybe it was today. I don't know. I was just like, come on, man. Like, we can't keep, this guy needs to buy a first base mitt. We can't keep doing this. The other guy is Kane Smith and Jigba, who's hitting 263 right now because because of today. But before that, he's in the 290s, but his on base is still 391, which is part of his game. But they're all singles, 5 singles or whatever, but he's walked 3 times. He has a stolen base, which is, a little bit interesting. Of these 3, I like Swaggerty the most, but I don't know that he's quite there yet because of the fact that it's that opponent quality thing that they're going to throw in his face.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I like Swaggerty. I think he's had a hard hand dealt to him.
Sure.
And he's showed up this spring, and like you said, the opponent quality's down a little bit, but he showed up and he's been playing, man. He's going out there with intentions and striking the ball hard. And I like what I see.
Defensively, he's been fine. And if you have been watching any of these games, it seems this spring it's almost impossible to be fine in the outfield. And that's not just Pirates. It's both teams. It's been like that for years. Mm-hmm. Has this year been the worst? Yeah, I think so. But I don't think that's really because the fielders are getting worse. I think that the wind has been the worst this year.
Yeah.
And it moves.
You hear the announcers, the people coming in, the guest speakers, all that stuff. They're all talking about it. It's just been crazy this year.
Yeah, it has been, but not. It's crazy every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's just been a little bit this year that's moved it more to that side. I don't think it's been a lot. Like this, we just forget about it, and we'll forget about it by July this year.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Maybe not because we can look back at our tweets, but I don't really know. Maybe we'll forget about it, but it's been interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the home runs we've seen are, how much of that is wind dated? We've hit some home runs recently that I'm thinking like, yeah, it's wind dated to go 430, but it still was a home run.
Right.
But like O'Neal Cruz, first pitch of the game the other day, slaps one the other way, and it's like, oh, it's good to see. Now he hit the ball hard, but that's not gone at PNC Park with or without wind.
Right.
Like it's just not a home run there. And then, the wind, it's probably not. Is it a double? Yeah, maybe. It depends on where they're playing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, who cares? He hit the ball hard. That's a good thing. It's spring training. Doesn't matter if they caught it. You'd be like, he hit the ball hard. It was a good swing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, it's really, that's been an interesting one, but I do see positive things from all three players, which is the complete opposite of what you're looking at second base. I like the competition in the outfield better than I like what we've seen, because people who have a chance. Travis Swaggerty could have showed up and been like, yeah, he's just never going to make it on this team.
Yeah.
Instead, he's forced you to talk about him.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. Not to mention, he's been the best thing defensively that we've seen this spring. With a couple of throws that he's made, I said that last week, that was the best thing I saw all week. It still is. Like, unfortunately, well, maybe not. Key Brian Hayes coming into hitting the home run and hitting the other one 108 miles an hour just a day after they said he's dealing with a thumb soreness, or 2 days after. That was probably the best thing, because that was like a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
So we move into backup catcher, and then we got to move on. Move into backup catcher. There's Jason DeLay, Tyler Heineman, Kevin Plawecki, Andy Rodriguez. Andy Rodriguez has no shot of being the backup catcher this year, as he shouldn't, in my opinion. There's all the talk about how he's doing and how he's hitting and all that stuff. And guys, we've been talking about opponent quality. His is 6.2. He's just not facing the same quality pitching. We're talking AA or lower most of the time, with a few at-bats against better guys. Maybe he had success against those better guys. That's why this opponent quality can't be taken as like a thing. Yes, Andy Rodriguez has been doing well. Yes, he will do well. He's only struck out twice. He's hit 3 doubles. One of them was a little bit of a bizarre situation, but so what? So is one of Rodolfo Castro's, where the wind blew it fair when it looked like it was going to be foul. So there's that kind of stuff all over the place. He's definitely the best of all these guys, but when he comes up, he should be the starter.
Yeah.
I don't want him making this backup job. We know who the starter is.
And he won't.
He's not.
They
They've
don't want
already
him to make
said.
it. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is we keep writing these tweets about how he should be the opening day starter, and he's just not going to be. Like, why even? Why? I don't think he should. He has like 3 at-bats at AAA. I mean, I'm exaggerating maybe, but the point is like, no, I am in that camp. He should go to AAA. We should make sure that he's hot, and then we should bring him up. I don't care about service time. I don't care about the whole opening day, rookie of the year, gain the extra thing. I don't care about any of that. But Andy Rodriguez has more stuff to work on. And I think he should go work on it.
Yeah. And that's what they want. They want him to start out in AAA and work on catching the ball.
Yeah. I think there's
not actually catching the ball, but being the catcher.
Yeah. I think that there's still something there. But I think he will be here this year, and I am positive, or I am optimistic about when he gets here, at least at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of, Tyler Heineman has impressed me the most behind the plate, and he has 1 hit and 12 at-bats, and it's not been good. He's faced the best pitchers of the group, according to opponent quality. I have no idea who's getting this job. To me, it should be Tyler Heineman, but he's just not shown up. I need you to show up. You're at 083. I need Tyler Heineman to do something to take this job, because I think defensively, I think he offers us the best thing behind the plate to back him up. You're not getting offense from any of the other guys, from DeLay or Plawecki or whoever else. I mean, those are the 2 guys, right? I mean, is it going to be anybody else? I mean, could it possibly be Carter Binns? I don't know.
I don't see it, but
Carter Binns hasn't been facing anybody either, and he's hitting like what, 2 for 4, 2 for something. Where's he at? He's not even on here. Why is he not on here? Because he's not on the roster, right? So they just don't put him on here, but he's a non-roster invite. So why does Baseball Reference not include him on here? Golly. I'm finding it. Is he not even going to show up there? He has at bats, am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember him having at bats.
Here he is, Carter Binns, X. He doesn't have a position, so he doesn't show up. Carter Binns is 3 for 6 with 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Like, that's not bad, but he's got 6 at bats, and he's likely not going to make this thing.
Yeah, if they're only throwing him up to the plate 8 times so far, they're not considering him.
Is he anything that has to do with the future? No. Is he 24 years old? Yes. Can we just give him Kevin Plawecki's at bats for this week?
I'd love it.
Because why are we not looking at him? I mean, whoever gets this job will not last long.
Right.
They will be DFA'd when Endy gets his opportunity, more than likely, even though he doesn't have to be, because Endy's already on the 40-man, right? But at some point, there's a DFA happening to whoever gets this backup job. Whoever you give this to, you don't plan on him sticking around very long.
Yeah.
Like in the organization, even. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not Carter Binns? I don't know. Go ahead and give it to him, and then that way, if somebody gets hurt, I don't know. I'm not saying go ahead and give it to him, right? But give him an opportunity to go for it, like 6 at bats. I'd like to see. You're not getting anything from Kevin Plawecki.
Plate appearances, right? He's got 2 walks.
2 walks, 8 plate appearances.
You've walked him up to home plate 8 times.
Yeah, why not more?
Right.
I guess you've sent Kevin Plawecki up there 10 times, so it's not that much different. But Jason DeLay, he's even less, I think. If I go back to catcher, I don't know why he's position X, but Jason DeLay, 6 at-bats, 1 walk. So, they're not giving me plate appearances here. So, there's plate appearances. 8 plate appearances for DeLay, 10 for Plawecki, 11 for Heineman. Hedges with 18, Endy with 15. They're clearly giving the lion's share of at-bats to those 2 guys. And at some point, you're going to see Endy Rodriguez not get any more. If they're not going to keep him, you have to figure out who this next guy is.
Unless they're, I don't know. Maybe they are thinking about him getting the starting job right out of the gate.
Endy?
I don't know.
No, they've already said.
They can say whatever they want.
That's true. They could just back off on that. You're right. They're not going to.
I don't think so.
No, they're not going to.
I don't, but you just don't know.
Hedges,
we're not in the meetings.
Gosh. We need to keep moving. This is going to go long today, Jake. Are you surprised?
I think our over-unders are going to be quick.
They're going to have to be. But
we're not explaining.
We're pushing, though. All right. Let's skip the bullpen crap.
Okay.
I'm just skipping it. There's a bullpen guy up for a job, too. Let's do our things. Here we go. We're gonna start our projections here. Who's your starting second baseman? You go first.
I got Castro.
All right, I got Castro. And I say that because I don't think anybody else is going to step up. I think Castro's your starting second baseman. I think that Bay will get a shot this year too. Unless Castro really impresses in the next 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
Because power is his game, he's going to have to hit some balls hard.
Yeah.
Because that's his game, right? It's been his game since before he made it.
Yeah.
Exit velocity is his game. Fourth outfielder. Who do you or fourth and fifth? Who do you got making this team out of spring?
I do have Swaggerty making the team.
Okay. Is that your stopping there? I'll just say I got Kanan Smith and Jigba and Joe and Connor.
Yeah,
Joe.
I mean, I think Connor Joe's going to be there too.
Okay, and I think the reason for that for me is I think that they don't have a problem giving Connor Joe 2 at-bats a week.
Yeah,
where I think they'll send Cal Mitchell and Swaggerty down. And this is a projection. I actually would like it to be Swaggerty, so I like the fact that you're doing that. But these next 9 games are going to tell us who's getting this. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
All right, so are we skipping the bullpen there, or who takes Harleen Garcia's spot? I'm going to say Bednar, Crow, Holderman. Bednar, Crow, Holderman, Underwood, Hernandez, the Rule 5 guy, and Chase DeYoung. I'm going to say those are the 7, right? Or those are the 6. There's a 7th guy that gets this job, or maybe an 8th guy if you don't think Oviedo makes the team. But like, that other spot was Garcia's. Who do you have making it of the group that we didn't get an opportunity to talk about? Do they, like, I'm sorry, because I'm going to jump ahead. Do they go get a left-hander to do it? Do they pick from the left-handers that we have in camp, or Zastryzny, who's with Canada right now, did not pitch in that game today, so that went 18-8. But either way, is it one of those guys? Do they go get somebody, or do they say Garcia's only out for like a week or two to start the season? We're not going to go with a lefty.
I could see basically what you just ended with, but going with a lefty and Zastryzny and just getting what you get out of him until Garcia's back.
All right. So you're going Zastryzny. I honestly believe they won't. I think they're going to give a shot to Dowry Moretta because he's been good. And I think that they'll say, let's get through this with that limited lefty situation and get Garcia in here. If that Garcia injury extends, they're going to make a move, I think. I don't know if it's going to be Stephen Brault, but they're going to make a move because they're not going to go long. They're not going to go more than 2 weeks with one lefty, and that lefty being a Rule 5 pick. I think if it's one of these guys, it's one of these guys. And in that case, I don't know what it looks like, but if Robert Stevenson is not injured, I think he starts off not there too. So I think that dynamic makes a lot of changes as well, because then who else, right?
I like your pick there.
All right, so I don't care about the backup catcher. Let's move on. We'll wait for that. All right, sorry for the little bit of a break right there, guys. Here's what happened. We recorded this thing for about an hour and a half. We went a little long.
Just a scotch.
So this is us from after recording all of that and saying that we're going to cut it here. We spent a little more time on this thing than we thought we were going to. I know it's usually not a surprise that we went long, but we are trying to be intentional about your time and the way we use it. So we're not doing this to create some big drama or whatever, but we are going to keep this recording that we just did. We just sat down and recorded, and we're going to release it for Friday. So where this is us cutting in to kind of wrap up Monday's episode. I know that we teased that we were doing our predictions and things like that, but we are going to save those for a release on Friday morning. So this is where our show will stop this week. Please make a note, whatever you have to do to remind yourself to tune in Friday morning, or if you haven't subscribed on things, subscribe to those, get those notifications that pop in and say a new episode has been released, because we will release this this last part that we did all of our projections. We're going to release it on Friday on St. Patrick's Day. So we'll actually get to, we said our things here, but we'll actually get to say happy St. Patrick's Day this Friday.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So
sure.
We're going to do it in like 5 minutes from now, but we're just going to record a new intro and outro for Fridays, but we're still going to do it. So anyway, just to bring it up, I'm just going to say it now. This is something that won't be completely rare. I think this year we are going to attempt, at least at the beginning of the year and hopefully all the way through the year, we're going to attempt to do this where we're going to record. We're going to have our Monday morning episode, but during the season, we're also going to try to have a Friday morning episode so that we can cover the weekend series and the weekday series is a little bit different and a little bit separate. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Sometimes when we talk on Sundays, the Monday stuff just is irrelevant by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things that we want to try to avoid this year, is getting an opportunity to talk about all of the things and not just some of them, which we felt like we missed out on a lot last year. Regular season stuff just moves quicker than that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This will give us a little bit more time to not go over. You know what I mean? So, all right. So let's wrap this thing up. What do you have here to close this thing out?
Guys, the WBC has been fun, man. Tune in and watch if you're getting tired of watching sometimes boring spring training games. It's competitive. It's playoff atmosphere baseball. Bednar picked up the save for Team USA the other day. Gave up an infield single, but 3 Ks, looked good. I mean, it's fun.
Two things here. Generally, I made a joke about this, but now that we have like 5 extra minutes, I made a joke about this at the beginning. Pitch clock or no? What do you like now? Are you a little bit saying that you missed the pitch clock?
No.
Okay.
No, I actually don't. I don't find myself doing that, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I did find a couple times I was like, pick up the pace a little bit. I still don't like the pitch clock as a whole because of some of the things that go around it. But there was a little bit of pace issues on a couple of the games where I was like, come on, man. So there is a little bit of that where I appreciate the attempt to keep pace going. Also, the infield single. Because there's no pitch clock in the WBC. There's no shifts, and the infield single was the guy was
no shift restrictions.
No, I'm saying that in baseball, like no shift. Yeah, their shifts are allowed in the WBC.
Yeah,
and he was playing shallow right field. McNeil was, and he had to go to his right and field a ball. If he would have just been playing the regular second base position, it's probably an out.
Yeah,
I think. I guess you could make a case that it was a base hit up the middle, but I don't think so. I think it was an out. I guess I had 3 things. Did Bednar strike out the side?
Yes.
No, he didn't. He has to strike out every batter of the side to strike out the side. That's a big argument. I know a lot of people are on different ends of that. I like that argument. I think you have to strike everyone out. It can't be, I gave up 4 hits and 2 runs, but struck 3 guys out, so I struck out the side. No, you didn't. You stunk. You don't get that. It's like the immaculate inning. Like, you don't get it if you strike 3 different guys out on 3 pitches. If you face 3 other guys, you can't.
No.
It's the same thing to me. I don't know if it's the same thing. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I think in order to strike out the side, you got to strike them all 3 out.
I'm not going to sit here and argue with people about it.
Oh, that's a fun one, though.
Like, that's not a fun one for me.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. So then you just will agree with me then.
Sure.
Monday off this week. 2 split squad games on Tuesday, then games every day after that, including an evening game against the Yankees on Thursday. I think everything is televised this week. I guess I don't know about the split squad. I mean, if you have MLB TV, everything is televised, right? So there will be a game feed available if you have the means to get to it this week. But I think everything from here on out is visible in some way. There won't be any more radio-only games. At least I think. I could be very wrong about that.
I'm going to make an attempt to get down to... It'll actually be 2 Pirate games, actually.
To get to spring training this year.
Spring training, yeah.
Yeah, you are going to make that attempt.
Like the 26th and 27th or 25th and 26th, something like that.
Yeah.
One at Lecom and one at Braves facility at Cool Today Park.
Yeah, and you know what? There was some conversation on the Pirates fan forum about White Sox fans. Graves was on the Pirates fan forum this week, and they had mentioned about marrying into being a White Sox fan. And so they're kind of like sharing time and then things like that. You have married into a Braves fan. So there's a little bit of that, as you guys have heard in the past. So it's a little similar to that thing where you got to
We're going to try to make both opening days this year.
Yeah.
Home openers.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to try to do it.
Back-to-back days. You're making the trip Atlanta and then up to Pittsburgh, trying to make that happen. That's going to be, you don't forget that stuff.
No,
You'll talk about that for a long time. That'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys,
All right.
that's all we have
Go
for this
Bucks.
week. Please remember to tune in on Friday to hear our prediction episode. I know it's different. I know it's going to be an extra thing, but, at least we didn't, crush you with that, because you guys would have never heard it either way. You would have turned this thing
It's
off.
shorter.
Yeah, it'll be a
shorter.
little bit shorter than this for sure. So, all right, guys, let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!